Welcome back to another video. I'm excited to share today's film stocks. Now, a few friends of mine know that I love night film photography, especially on tungsten balanced film stocks. And they mentioned a company called Midwest Film Company that respooled old motion picture film stocks. So shout out to Evan, Kish, and Josh for letting me know about Midwest. And when I went to the website, two of them caught my eye. Fuji Eterna Vivid 160T and Kodak EXR 100T. Now, so far I've bought 3 rolls of each of these to try out, and I've shot 2 of them side by side that I'm going to share my results today. Now, one thing I wanted to note is that these film stocks might be very old, so I'm not sure how close these actually look to when they were fresh. So obviously things like development and scanning can vary. If you manage to get a few rolls of these, they may not turn out the same way that mine did. So let's now dive in. Before getting into each film stock, I wanted to give a little history of each. Fuji Eterna Vivid 160T is a color negative motion picture film stock. It was introduced in 2007 and discontinued in 2013, and part of the Eterna line. Kodak Eastman EXR 100T, it was a pre-vision color negative motion picture stock, introduced in 1989 and discontinued in 2003. I'm going to go through 3 different scenes that I shot with these film stocks. The first night shooting with these film stocks was in Uptown, Minneapolis. I got the following shots on a monthly meetup in Minneapolis, going around grabbing some side-by-side shots. That's me in the hat on the right. Now, most of the shots that evening I got were during blue hour. The Fuji seems to have a baby blue sky, while the Kodak had this purple sky and neon magenta lights. Here you can see how the sushi restaurant rendered between the 2 film stocks. I love how the Kodak EXR turned out, with the blue brick and neon sign. Bryant Lake Bowl is a staple in Uptown and has great neon lights. Again, I really loved how the EXR turned out, almost a cyberpunk look. The Fuji Eterna looked more natural in the lighting. The smoke shop had some great neon signs. The shot seemed to have more of a difference in brightness, but you can tell from the sidewalk the EXR leaned more blue. Across the street, a few blocks down, is another smoke shot with great neon signs. The Fuji turned out a bit overexposed, but the Kodak feels a bit under. I liked how the white lights look on Fuji, but also love the blue sky and neon red signs on Kodak. Alleyways make for great shots, especially with wall art. One thing you'll notice here is that the Fuji lights are white, whereas you see with the Kodak has some pink or magenta halation. I'm not sure if this is just due to the age of the film or if that's how it normally looks. The second scene was shot during a very foggy night, which is pretty rare here in Minnesota. I love the way the traffic lights looked in the fog. Here you can see that the Fuji had whiter lights and overall felt warmer versus the Kodak EXR was cooler. I liked how eerie it looked with these 2 trees. Again, the Fuji felt warmer and greener, and the Kodak leaned a cooler blue. You can see the pinkish halation too in the Kodak EXR. This parking lot had some great creepy vibes to it. Overall, I think the EXR looked better and had different colors. The Fuji felt a little bit too monochromatic in this image. Here's another shot with some trees. I loved how the fog looked in the EXR with the traffic lights. I feel like Freddy Krueger is lurking somewhere in this scene. I can't decide which of these 2 I like more. I like the colors from the Fuji, but I like the exposure and darkness from the Kodak more. Scene 3 had some city lights around the Twin Cities. Now these were taken from my second roll of these films. I've taken this exact shot a couple of times. I love the moonlight with the smokestacks. I found it really interesting how each film handled the sky. The Fuji was a deeper blue versus Kodak was more of a baby blue. I've taken a number of shots of this building from a few different angles. Here's from the St. Anthony main bridge. And here's a little bit of a wider shot with the gold medal flower. I have to say that the Fuji shot of this building is one of my favorites. Something about how the white lights with the blue sky looks on Fuji is so cool to me. The Kodak seemed a bit more overexposed, but did still have a unique look to it. These building shots felt like the most different of all the comparisons. Each one feels so unique. Even though the Kodak seems a little overexposed, I do prefer the look between the two in this shot. I'm sure you've seen me take shots of the Monte Carlo many times before. The Fuji looked pretty close to how the scene actually looked, but the Kodak had an interesting look from the lights from the neon sign. These buildings are another great example of seeing how there's a larger difference between the two in how the sky looked. I liked both of them. I like how the Fuji looks like a dark navy blue sky, while the Kodak looks more like a royal blue. So here are the main shots for Fuji Eterna Vivid 160T. I really liked the second roll I shot with how the sky looked more of a baby midnight blue during blue hour. Here are the shots from the Kodak EXR 100T. Overall, I liked the first roll I shot more, especially with the combination of that deep blue and magenta neon signs have that cool cyberpunk look. So overall, which one was your favorite? Hey, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, I would love a subscription from you. And one of the goals of my channel is actually, I've shot over 100 film stocks now, and I want to make one video at least of each film stock and give like what I like about it, what I don't like about it, or what I think the best scenarios for it is. So that's one of the goals of this channel, and I hope you enjoy the journey along the way.